Good afternoon. I'm Sunrise Management and Consulting's Marketing Director, Heather Schechter, and we are so pleased that you could join us today. Our company manages apartments throughout the capital region and has a passion for building great communities for our residents. During this pandemic, we wanted to stay connected and bring you speakers with tips and ideas you could use. The COVID-19 pandemic has upended everyone's routines, including those of our four-legged friends. Some of us have spent more time at home, which can affect our pets' schedules and behaviors. Others have needed to find different care providers for their dogs with their doggy daycare closed. Today, I am excited to be joined by Nancy Haynes, Director of Behavior and Enrichment for the Mohawk Hudson Humane Society, for tips on pet behavior in a pandemic. If you have any questions, please submit them using the Q&A feature during this webinar, and we will save time to answer some questions at the end. Nancy has asked me to share some resources with you. You can check out these websites for more information. Thank you again for joining us, and I'm happy to now introduce Nancy Haynes. Hi, Nancy.
Hi, Heather. Thank you for having me today. This is the first time that I've done kind of a live webinar, and the joke around here is I'm not very tech savvy, so if something implodes in the middle of this, I'm sure it'll be my fault somehow.
You're doing great. So for those not familiar with the Mohawk Hudson Humane Society, would you please tell us more about your organization?
Definitely. So if people don't know where we're located, we are right in Albany on the Menands border. It's 3 Oakland Ave. We were founded in 1887, so we are the oldest and the largest animal protection association in the capital region. And we also service Albany County and Rensselaer County. And in addition to our daily activities, which is caring for strays, owner surrenders, animals that have been abused or neglected, we also offer a lot of extra things for the community. We have a low-cost spay, neuter, and wellness clinic, and unfortunately due to COVID that we did have to temporarily close that for a little while. It has been reopened. We do dog training classes, and again during COVID that was postponed, but we are looking to open those up again by the beginning of July. So if people are interested in dog training, keep an eye on our website. We have our pet food pantry, which has been doing an amazing job of helping the community during this pandemic and all year round. But we have, during the last couple months of COVID, we have given out approximately 57,000 meals to pets in the Capital District, which is really amazing. And you know, any of the other services, you want to make sure that people go to our website, mohawkhumane.org. And if you have any questions, if you have any needs, you'll be able to find it on that page.
Thank you so much. So Nancy, how have pets reacted to their owners spending more time at home, whether they're trying to work or learn at home?
So what we're seeing from our own staff and community, and also the people that we talk to, is their pets' lives are pretty disrupted during this. We may think that being home with our pets all the time is great, and they may also think it's great initially, but what has happened is, we've completely changed their routine. There's now a lot more noise, there's a lot more activity. Animals definitely might be picking up on our stress, being home during a pandemic or potentially laid off or any of those things. They may be getting a lot more activity or a lot less activity depending on your normal schedule. So it really has been a struggle for them. And I think probably initially a lot of owners were really excited and happy to be home with their pets. And now that we're into, 3 months, it's getting a little challenging for both parties.
Yeah. Now, if this switching routine has led to negative pet behavior or anxiety, what tips do you have to get pets back on track?
So there's a lot of things you can do, and this is what I'm going to talk about today is mostly for dogs that are, like you said, just having some negative behaviors, not necessarily dogs that have full-blown separation anxiety or separation-related behavior problems. those dogs typically are dogs that you're going to know that prior to the pandemic that your dog may struggle with these things, and the routine for that is going to be a lot more structured and a lot longer. But some of the things that you can do for your pets that are just a little off track and not used to this new routine is try to set up a routine for them. As much as it's difficult and you might not be leaving the house, keep your meal times the same, keep your rest times the same, keep your walk or exercise times the same, so that they start to get back into that structure. And try to do it, if you know you're going to be going back to work, try to do it in those time frames. If you're normally leaving the house at 7 a.m., yeah, it's nice to be able to take a little bit longer because we're working from home, but you want your dog to still understand that at 7 a.m. you may leave for work. Keep that routine very structured. The other thing that is really great to work on is your training while you're at home. This is a really good opportunity to work on those behaviors, work on some settle behaviors, teach your dog to go and sit or lie down on a mat or a bed and work on long stays so they can start to self-soothe. One of the things that is also recommended is create a safe haven for them. So an area where they feel comfortable. And this area can be anywhere in the house that they're comfortable. It can be, it should ideally be away from you, a room or two away from you. Can have their bed, it can have toys, you can feed them in this area. But the biggest thing about a safe haven area is this is where the dog knows it's going to go to relax. You're not playing in this area, you're not roughhousing with the dog. This is settle time, so that they start to get the idea, if they are getting anxious about their owners going back to work, they can go to this spot and they have already practiced some of these self-soothing activities, which means laying down, being calm. You can bring your dog to this safe haven area a couple times a day and just reward them for sitting on their bed or their mat, or laying down on their bed or their mat, and really keeping it calm and quiet. You can use a white noise machine or a radio. You can use essential oils if that's something that you're interested in. Some dogs like to be in a crate or have a crate. Some dogs don't. So it kind of depends on your dog's personal preference. If they are crated and they do like their crate, sometimes it's helpful to cover their crate, make it a little bit dark, a little bit quieter. Some dogs don't like that. It's really trial and error, personal preference with that specific dog. You want to make sure that you're keeping to, I had already said, your normal schedule, but your normal departure time. And even if you're not necessarily leaving the house, you can leave to go to your office. So you can do the same routine that you would normally do in the morning, because they know you're leaving much before you walk out the door. They have already picked up on your cues, because every morning you make your coffee the same time, you pick up your keys the same way, you leave your shoes at the door, whatever your morning routine is, they already know it. So what you can do is, even if you're not ready to leave your house, is do those routines, go to your home office, so that the dog starts understanding, okay, this is work time. But really exercising, training, you're going to find lots of enrichment for the dogs. On the resources page that we showed at the beginning of this, I Speak Dog is a really great resource for any kind of training tips. They have a whole page on enrichment, so it can talk about things to do with your dogs. Snuffle mats are great to give them time when they're eating to forage for their own food. A lot of trainers nowadays will say, ditch the food bowl, don't even use the food bowl. You should be feeding them out of Kongs or wobblers or snuffle mats to get that activity and that brain activity up a little bit. So I would definitely check out that website, because they have a ton of great resources for people, and a lot of kind of tricks of the trade that people can look at.
Now we're talking about ways to prevent pet anxiety, but what signs would you notice of pets going through anxiety?
So the typical signs are, they can be vocalizing, they are not settling. If anybody has cameras on their pets when they are at work, I would still continue to do that and notice if they're not settling, if they're up and down constantly, if they're digging, scratching, being destructive, especially to the exit point of that room or that area that they're in. If they are crated, if they're trying to break free of the crate, lots of dogs will, grab onto the bars, things like that. Sometimes animals will urinate and defecate if they're anxious. Also, a lot of times, true separation anxiety will mean that they won't touch any food or treats or toys that are left for them because they're too anxious to take those things. So even if it's a really good treat, or their favorite toy, they might not interact with it at all when you're gone. And then once you come home, they've relaxed a little bit that they can eat that treat or play with that toy.
Now, I've heard that about people either gaining weight during the pandemic or being so nervous that they're losing weight. Are people seeing that with pets too?
Yeah, and we've seen a lot of, maybe not so much gaining weight, especially I think if the wintertime, you would definitely see that. But now that it's nice out, I think one of the things that are helping our own mental health is getting outside and exercising. And what we're seeing is that dogs are getting too much activity sometimes. You're seeing pain, possibly injuries. A dog who's used to maybe 2 walks a day is now getting out 5 or 6 times a day. There's a meme on social media where the dog's standing on top of the kitchen counters and the cabinets and says, "No, I'm